Hey everyone, hey everyone. Y'all know what time it is. Y'all know I pushed that button right at 8 o'clock. Y'all know I pushed the button right at 8 o'clock. Y'all know I pushed that button right at 8 o'clock. So, y'all, this week has been phenomenal, okay? Um, it has really, really, truly been amazing. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a habit. It's a habit. It's a habit. And I always get on live and mess with my phone. Um, Anywho, so as y'all know, well, y'all don't know. So as of today, I am going to be pushing Life UnMothered out to Sundays at 8 o'clock. So I think that's a better fit for me and majority of all my supporters. I think Sundays at 8 o'clock will be good. However, if I can get an episode in on Thursdays like I was able tonight, I will. So with that being said, y'all, I always want to thank y'all for this. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to the ones that said yes, that they want to be the ones to start breaking the cycle. It means so much to me. It really do. Um, and so I'm just very appreciative of everyone who has got a copy. Who, if you're thinking about getting a copy, go on, get a copy. Go on, bless somebody with it. But I am very thankful for this. So, thank you. I am, if y'all see my face swell a little bit, y'all, your girl had oral surgery. I just got these wisdom teeth extracted last week, Thursday, so I'm still healing, but I thank God that I'm healing beautifully because as you can see, a lot of the swelling has went down, so I am very thankful for that. Um, what can I say? Oh yeah, so as y'all seen the post that even the day after I had oral surgery, y'all, I was up in a 2 day boot camp. A 2 day boot camp getting this information, getting how I could be more equipped to push the message out to us trauma survivors. You say yes. Hey, yes, thank you, sis. So, getting more equipped on how to push this message out to us trauma survivors. So, I am stepping into the role of really who God created me to be, and that is a speaker for his kingdom to get the message out there to spread awareness about childhood trauma and abuse because we need to know that we are seen, we are loved, and our stories matter no matter what. Our stories are valid no matter what. And so we are a community. We are a voice for the voiceless. So even if people are scared to talk, I'm going to step in the realm for your voice because this is very, very important that we understand that we have to gain some knowledge and wisdom as far as trauma goes so that we will not continue to pass that down to the next generation. So I guess you can call me the whistleblower because I'm blowing up these definitions to get it out there to the community, to trauma survivors. Because we didn't have a language, we didn't have the wording to understand what was going on within us, and so now that God showed me that it's a path to open that door to give the knowledge that we need, to give definitions, to give the names, that is what I'm truly doing. So I want to make it clear though, the show is called Life UnMothered. However, this show is not pertain to strictly women. This is a man show too because men have mother wounds as well. So it is called Life UnMothered, healing what's hidden. So us as a community, we are healing what's hidden. Trauma doesn't have a color. Trauma does not have a gender at all. And so, this is global knowledge. So that's why I told y'all this is not just a moment, it's a movement. And so tonight, as y'all can see the episode, we're going to talk about enmeshment. It is a word, it is a definition pertaining to trauma. And y'all know I don't bring forth anything that I have not dealt with myself. I can't speak on a subject that I have not dealt with. And so all of the definitions that you see on this show is something that I personally dealt with. I personally found the names, and I said to myself that if I didn't know this, somebody else don't know either. And so that's why I'm stepping forth. That's why I'm saying yes, because I know that my yes is somebody else's freedom. So that's why I do what I do, and I'm so passionate about what I do. And so we're going to jump on into this subject. I'm excited about what God is doing in my life. Of course, I'm not going to say y'all going to see when it happens. However, I am truly thankful. I am truly, truly thankful. I thank God that I was obedient and I took a leap of faith. Even though I was scared to do it, and it was people placing the things that I thought that I could not live without, but God said go. And so I took that leap of faith, and it was like once I leaped, God opened up so many doors, and they are still opening for me till this day. And I'm so grateful and I'm so honored. And but like I said, I got a lot of things coming up that I'm excited about. Y'all see the glow, even though it's a little swollen, but y'all still see it. So let me read my statement piece, and then we're gonna jump into this subject, because tonight we dropping knowledge and gems. So get ready to pick them up, y'all. So this show was born from the pain I never deserved and the healing I fiercely fought for. I know what it's like to be unmothered, to grow up without the nurture, protection, or the love that I needed. I was raised in trauma, told to stay silent and expected to smile through it all. But I also know what it's like to break cycles, to reclaim your voice, and to rewrite your story. My mission, my life's purpose, is to shine a light on childhood trauma and abuse, and the pain that most people are too scared to talk about. To expose the wounds that we were taught to hide and help others rise from them too. This is more than a show. This is a movement, a mirror, and a safe house for truth. It's for the ones who were told to get over it, but never had a chance to process it. It's for the inner child still waiting to be seen. Because healing isn't just personal, it's generational. And I'm not just healing for me, I'm healing for my lineage and helping others to do the same. So if you've ever felt unseen, unloved, or unmothered, you are not alone, and we are healing together. So, y'all, let's jump on in tonight. So I really have some things tonight. I am going to jump into what enmeshment is, first of all. Then I'm going to jump into signs of mother and daughter enmeshment in adulthood. Then I'm going to jump into signs of mother and sons enmeshment into adulthood. Because y'all, this is real. It's real. And so I need y'all to understand the definitions when it comes to enmeshment, because some of us in our grown age that we are still enmeshed with our parents from the trauma. So what is enmeshment? Enmeshment is a unhealthy relationship dynamics where boundaries between individuals are blurred, leading to excessive emotional functions, dependency, and a lack of individual anatomy. Individuals in enmeshed relationships often lose a sense of self, struggle with decision makings, feel responsible for others' emotions, and have difficulty forming relationships outside the enmeshed dynamics. That is what enmeshed is, right? And so I want to kind of jump into what enmesh look like when you've been raised by a narcissistic parent. So y'all know I talk about the mother wounds. Y'all know that I talk about narcissists, being raised by a narcissist. Those are the topics that I talk about, and of course, childhood trauma, abuse, and all of those. So tonight we talking about enmeshed with your narcissistic parent, and so this goes for boys and girls. Now, Grant, y'all can piece this puzzle together however you want to piece it. But on this show, A Life of Mother, we strictly talk about the mother wounds. So it says, have you ever felt like you weren't allowed to have your own feelings? Like your parents' emotions comes first and yours doesn't even matter? Enmesh is when boundaries between parent and child get blurred. Instead of the child being allowed to grow into their own person, they're pulled into carrying the parent's emotions, problems, and even their identity. What enmeshment looks like? What does it look like? The child feels responsible for the parent's happiness or mood, right? So the parent uses guilt, manipulation, or emotional blackmail to keep the child close. Y'all, I know it's a lot of adult trauma survivors that is still enmeshed to their parents, right? And I really want y'all to hone in on what this means so that you will be able to recognize that you are doing this and that this is your identity, because we done took on let's keep going, y'all. The child's independency is seen as betrayal. The child grows up knowing their the child grows up without knowing their own likes, dislikes, or values, because they're always been trained to reflect the parent. Did y'all hear what that said? Now, y'all know I incorporate some of my truths into the studies that I do. So, with that being said, y'all, when I walked away, I didn't know who I was. Now I know I tell y'all all the time, and if y'all go back to a few videos, I said this before. When I walked away and started disconnecting from that trauma, I had no clue who I was, because my whole aura, my whole image was who my mother wanted me to be. So I know for a fact that I was enmeshed with my mother for up into my 30s. Up into my 30s, y'all. So let's keep going. So why narcissistic parents create enmeshment? Why do they create enmeshment? Narcissistic parents often need control, admiration, or someone to meet their emotional needs. Instead of being the parent, they turn their child into a mirror. Did y'all hear that? They turn a child into a mirror, a therapist, or a extension of themselves. Extension of themselves, right? So we definitely have people out here that is living, for for what their parents want, not for them. And so that's why you can actually have a person go to school, do college 4 years. Oh, my mom wanted me to do this. Oh, I'm following the family's footsteps. But in actuality, you are so depressed in that decision that you made. But it wasn't actually your decision, right? So you're trying to make someone else happy by following their, their of what they want for you to do in your life. And that's draining. That's depleting, and you got to live up to their expectations. That's a lot of pressure on an individual. So let's keep going, y'all. So it says, this is like being raised as your parents' emotional crutch instead of their child. You are your parents' emotional crutch instead of their child, right? So how trauma fuels enmeshment? How does trauma fuse enmeshment, right? Trauma, especially unhealed trauma. Y'all know I tell y'all we done went unhealed. We don't went unhealed because we didn't know that we was being raised in trauma. So that's definitely us. Trauma, especially unhealed trauma, keeps parents operating in survival mode. They may unconsciously, y'all know that's one of my words. They may unconsciously repeat patterns they lived through. And I told y'all, we repeat what we don't heal. That's just automatic. We repeat what we don't heal, meaning that we pass it from generation to generation. And of course, if we don't have the language for trauma, of course we're going to pass it. Of course, there's no acknowledgement. Of course, we can't see the pattern because we can't name the pattern. So, of course, that's going to happen, but you can break the cycle, right? So, let's keep going. So, they may unconsciously repeat the pattern they lived through. A child becomes the fixer or the glue, and that role feels impossible to escape. So put yourself in the shoes. What are you in your family's dynamics? Are you the fixer or are you the glue that try to keep everything together? Like, I think I was a little bit of both. I'm not even gonna lie. I think I was a little bit of both. But let's keep going. So trauma makes it hard to see boundaries healthy. So enmeshment feels like love when really it's control. That's deep. The lasting impact as adults. Enmeshed children may struggle with decisions. I told y'all. Enmeshed children may struggle with decisions. Feel guilty for saying no, lose themselves in relationships. I can't tell you how many times I done lost myself in a relationship. It's Anyway, attract partners who continue the same cycle. You will attract partners who continue the same cycle, right? So, with that being said, we finna jump into a little bit more. So an enmeshment isn't just being too close. It's when the natural lines between parent and child are erased. Instead of being raised to become your own person, you're trained to exist as an extension of your parent. Do you hear what that says? It says you are trained. You are trained to exist as an extension of your parent. No separation of self. Your thoughts, your emotions, and your choices aren't seen as yours. They're expected to align with your parents. Emotional ownership. The parents feel entitled to your feelings, Your parents feel entitled to your secrets and even your private life. That's man. If that ain't if that's not enmeshment, I don't know what it is. Your parents feel entitled to your feelings, your secrets, and your private life. That's deep, y'all. That's deep. That's being raised by a narcissistic parent. So, identity confusion. You don't know where your parent ends and you begin. Think of it like this. Instead of two trees growing side by side, instead of two trees growing side by side with strong roots, you're planted in the shadow of your parents and your branches twist to follow your parents. So instead of y'all sitting like this, you like this, and then you wrapping around your life around your parents. Yeah. Let's keep going. So how does enmeshment affect you in adulthood? Now I'm going to read this and then we're going to jump into the signs because this is deep, y'all. So how does enmeshment affect your childhood? Difficulty setting boundaries. Saying no feels like betrayal. You second guess yourself, wondering, am I being selfish? You may keep letting others drain you. Did you hear what it said? Did you hear what it said? You may keep letting others drain you because you were raised to meet needs, not protect your own. I just want y'all to sit on that one for a minute. You were raised to meet needs and not protect your own. This is what struggling with enmeshment is in our adulthood life. So, identity struggles. You ask, who am I outside of them? Decision making feels paralyzing. Your decision making feels paralyzing because growing up, every decision was already made for you. They were already made for you. Your decision makings was already made for you. Right? So you may even mimic your parents' values, career path, or lifestyle without even realizing it. That's what it says. It says you may mimic this without even realizing it. It says guilt as a constant companion. Healthy independency feel wrong. It says you may move out, but the guilt of not calling, not visiting, or not rescuing them keeps you tied. Even in adulthood, you carry their voice in your head louder than your own. I can't tell y'all. Oh my God. When somebody asks me, who is that critic in your head? It was always my mother's. Always. Telling me I couldn't. You can't do this. You're not smart enough. Quit doing that. That it says it right here, even in adulthood. You carry their voice in your head louder than your own. That's whew. Unhealthy relationships. You may attract partners who are controlling, you may attract partners who are controlling, manipulative, or emotionally unavailable because it feels familiar. You might confuse intensity or control with love. Y'all, that's brutal. That's brutal. And trust me, I went through it. That's why I said it's brutal. It really is. You could become the rescuer In every relationships replaying your childhood role, y'all. We become the rescuer in every relationship. That's why it kept me in so attached to some demons. That's just what it was. I was attached to some demons. Let's keep going. Emotional burnout. Always being on call for others leaves you exhausted. Now y'all know we still talking about enmeshment affects how enmeshment affects you in child adulthood. So we still on that topic. So emotional burnouts. Always being on call for other leaves you exhausted. You might struggle with depression, anxiety, and codependency. You might live on autopilot, never feeling fully free, always pulling back into someone else's emotions. Y'all, that's pretty deep. And then you fear abandonment. Because love was tied to loyalty and control. You fear people will leave you if you don't give enough. You overextend yourself at work, in friendships, in love, just to feel safe. Y'all, we do that just to feel safe, and that's kind of hard. That's really hard. So we have identity struggles in adulthood from enmeshment. We have these struggles in adulthood. They're going to be there. Why? Because we didn't know. You know. So lack of self definition. Growing up enmeshment, you weren't asked. You were not asked. What do you want? Or how do you feel? You were told how to feel, what to think, and who to be. As an adult, you may realize, I know what they wanted for me, but I don't know what I want for myself. And y'all, that's typical. Like, unfortunately, especially when you're dealing with trauma survivors. So you gonna always have difficulty. I'm not gonna say always, but you know, just growing up, us not knowing these definitions, this is what we grew into. We always had difficulties making decisions. So every decision feel like a test. If I choose this, will they approve? If I choose that, will they reject me? Instead of making decisions on your own desire, you filter them through imagined criticism from your parent or others. Results: indecisiveness, fear of mistakes, or living a life that never feels like yours. And I know man, that was, oof, all of this right here. It was me. It was me. And it literally took me years to actually build my own identity of who Mona actually really is. You know, and it takes some work, y'all. It don't come overnight. It really takes some work. So borrowed identity. This one, y'all, listen to this one. And this is developed from enmeshment with a narcissistic parent. Borrowed identities. You may adapt your partner's identity, values, or even their personality traits because it was safer than developing your own. Now, I'm guilty of that. I done had partners that say, like, quit trying to act like me. But I didn't know how to form my own identity. I didn't know who Mona was. So it was like whoever I got with, I would, take on their characteristics, and it was sickening, y'all. Now that I can, you said, can I relate to? Yes, yes. Now that I can sit back and understand these definitions and the things that I went through, I can really say that I did this. And I actually, when I had partners tell me that, I was just like, what? I ain't whatever. But now, yeah, I know I was literally taking on their characteristics, right? So you have approval addictions. When you don't know who you are, you lean on external approval to tell you if you're enough. Compliments feel like oxygen, and criticism feel like suffocation. You find yourself overperforming in relationships, jobs, or parenting because your worth feels tied to how others see you. Y'all, your worth feel tied to how others see you. If that's not something draining, if that's not something that would deplete you completely, right? So, fear of being authentic. It says being your true self feel dangerous because growing up, it may have led to punishment, guilt, guilt trips, or rejection. You may hide your real opinions, passions, or even pain to avoid conflict. Um, Being authentic feels like a risk instead of a birthright. Being authentic, being your true self, you stay in a cocoon because, like I tell y'all, we gotta hide behind family image. So trying to be ourselves, we always gotta think of, okay, if I do this, what they gonna think of me? If I say this, how they gonna react? We can't be authentic. We gotta continue to hide in our shell. And one thing about it is that I know is that silence will suffocate you from the inside out. And I promise you, I walk them shoes. I know I walk them shoes. Them deadly nights, them not saying anything, just suffering in silence. I know what that feels like. I really do. It says the core wound, I don't know who I am. This is the haunting effect of enmeshment. You may achieve success. It says you may achieve success, build relationships, or raise a family. Yet, deep down inside, it's a quiet ache. If I'm not who they told me to be, who am I? This is why healing isn't just about breaking away. It's about rebuilding your own identity from the ground up. Y'all, I told y'all, it's going to take some work. It's going to take some work to build your identity, but it's so important to do so. Right? You have to reclaim your voice. You have to reclaim your power. That way you can control your own emotions, because when you enmesh with somebody, you are allowing them to control you. Your thoughts, your actions, your reactions. You know what I'm saying? It's like you giving them the remote to your life. That's what you are. And they, playing you like a string. When you, y'all, it says why decision making is so hard after childhood enmeshment. Why would the decision making be so hard after the childhood enmeshment? Enmeshment homes, your parents often made decisions for you. What you wore, who you spent time with, what you believed, and how you felt. Even if they don't dictate, their approval/disapproval guides your every move. Over time, you learn my decisions don't belong to me. They belong to them. And as an adult, you second guess every choice because you never got practice trusting your own. Did y'all hear what it said? You second guess yourself because we never got practice to trust our own guidance, right? Fear of rejection or abandonment. Narcissists/enmeshed parents tie love to compliance. Do what I want, and I will love you. Did y'all hear what it said? Step out of line and I'll shame you. If that ain't my story 110-fold, I don't know what it is. 110-fold. It says that wires your brain to associate decision making with risk. Risk of punishment, conflict, or losing connections. So as an adult, the smallest decisions can feel so heavy, like you're choosing between safety and danger. Yeah. We on the battlefield with our decisions. Confuse sense of self. When your identity is blurred with your parents, you lose touch of your own preferences. Decision making requires knowing what you want. But if you're only ever been tuned into what they wanted, that question feels like a blank slate. That's why adults from enmeshed families often hear, "I don't even know what I like anymore." You don't even know what you like anymore, right? So it says guilt as a blocker. Even when you try to decide for yourself, guilt creeps in. If I choose this, am I betraying them? Am I being selfish? This guilt doesn't come from present moments. It's the residuals of years of conditioning where your choices were framed as disloyalty, right? So you couldn't make your own choice, because if you did and you went against what your parents were saying, that was deemed disloyal, you know. So overdeveloped people pleasing. This is what happens in enmeshed narcissistic parents. You grow up enmeshed. Survival meant keeping others happy. In adulthood, it shows up as um decision paralyzing. You're not asked, what do I want? You're asked, what will keep everyone else okay? You abandon your own needs before you even consider them. So you will abandon your own self before you even consider your own needs, just to help and please somebody else. I did that for so many. Yeah, let's keep going. So perfectionism and fear of mistakes. Many enmeshed children are punished or shamed for wrong decisions. As an adult, it turns into perfectionism. Every decision has to be the right one or else. This pressure freezes you because there's no room to explode, fail, or simply try. Y'all. So it says, we're gonna keep going, y'all. So it says inherited trauma patterns, borrowed identities. It said first we're gonna go into borrowed identities as an adult, living as a reflection instead of self. Enmeshed children are raised to be a mirror. Instead of who you are, it was, who do you need me to be? Your identity is shaped to reflect your parents' moods, values, and unhealed wounds. As an adult, you may still feel like you're performing a role rather than living as yourself, right? What else for borrowed identities in adulthood? You inherit trauma patterns. Borrowed identity just don't stop at hobbies or careers. They can extend into repeating the same toxic cycle your parent lived in. A parent who suppressed emotions, you struggle to express yourself. A parent who lived through others, you become controlling or overly independent in relationships. It's like wearing clothes that never fit, but you wear them anyway because they were handed down to you, right? Um, so let's keep going, y'all. So it says how enmeshment with a narcissistic parent affects your parenting. How would it affect your parenting? Because you weren't allowed to have boundaries, it's hard to know what healthy ones look like with your own child. You may overshare adult problems, relying on them for emotional comfort, or expect them to fill the void your parents left. Did y'all hear that? Instead of the child leaning on the parent, the roles get reversed. Your child becomes your safe space. Number 2, over-identification with your emotions. Since you grew up carrying your parents' feelings, you may accidentally do the same. Feeling like your child's happiness or sadness is entirely your responsibility. This can make you overprotective or over-involved, swooping into the fix into fix every problem instead of teaching them resilience. So we swoop. And I promise y'all, I just had this conversation the other day. But instead of us allowing our child and teach them resilience, we swoop in for them to become the fixer. And then that way they can't think for themselves. They can't do for themselves. They will always come to you and rely on you to tell them, to help them, right? And so difficulty number 3, and we are talking about how enmesh with a narcissist parent affects your parenting. Number 3 is difficulty allowing independence. When you aren't given permission to be your own person, watching your children grow up into theirs can feel threatening. You may feel unconsciously you may unconsciously guilt them from pulling away or expecting them to stay close in a way that mirror your enmeshment with your parents. This can keep children from learning how to separate in age appropriate ways, right? So some enmeshed survivors repeat the same patterns, controlling their child's choices, feelings, and identity because that's what feels familiar. Others swing the opposite way. They never say no, letting the children lead everything because they feared being too much like their parent. Either way, balance gets lost, right? And then we pass down this number 5. Then we pass down guilt and obligation. If you were taught that love equals self-sacrifice, you might unconsciously teach your child the same. Do this to make mommy happy. Don't let me down. This teaches them to prioritize others' emotions over their own. A generational repeat of enmeshment. Did y'all hear what that said? Generational repeat of enmeshment. So we finna jump into the signs, y'all, because I got 15 minutes and I really want to get the signs in, right? So signs of, I'm gonna do mother, daughter, and then I'm gonna do son and mother. So mother, daughter, and then mother, son. So these are the signs of mother, daughter enmeshment in adulthood. Lack includes a lack of clear identity, difficulties with independent decision making, poor boundaries, privacy, feeling exclusively responsible for mother's emotional well-beings, and patterns of guilt, abandonment, and conflict avoidance in the relationships. Daughters may also struggle in romantic relationships, exhibit perfectionism or extensive caretaking, and have a fear of intimacy or abandonment, right? So, the lack of identity. So, in daughter mother relationship, these are the signs: difficult making decision. The daughter may struggle to trust her own judgment and seek her mother's approval or input after making a significant decision, right? So I'm gonna keep going. Lack of strong sense of self. Without encouragement to develop her own feelings, beliefs, or goals, the daughter may have poor sense of who she is separate from her mother, who she is being separated from her mother. She fear of independence. Being on one's own can feel disloyal or scary if self-worth is tied to supporting the mother's needs, right? Um so and then the mother daughter, of course, the boundary issues. You will have poor boundaries in relationships, on your job, with your children. Lack of privacy. The relationship may intrusive, with the mother failing to respect the daughter's personal space and privacy, right? So that's signs of daughter enmeshment in adulthood. So those are signs that you are still enmeshed with your mother in your adulthood years. Men, signs of mother-son enmeshment in adulthood include a lack of clear boundaries, the son's independence on his mother, the son's independence on his mother for emotional validation, difficulty making decisions without her input, guilt or obligation when trying to act independently, sharing too many intimate details, and the mother resistance to the son's other relationships. The son may also feel overly responsible for his mother's happiness and struggles to form healthy separate relationships. These are the signs for the son. He struggles to make independent decisions and may frequently seek his mother's approval. He may feel deeply emotionally resilient on his mother for validation and self-esteem. He may feel guilty or responsible for his mother's emotional well-being and may experience anxiety about disappointing her. He finds it difficult to refuse his mother's requests or enforce boundaries, leading to conflicts. He overshares personal and intimate details with his mother and may have trouble setting boundaries in his romantic relationships. He may have a strong sense of his own identity as his mother's views and needs often dictates his own, right? So it says the mother and son may feel like they can't live without each other, or the son's primary purpose is to serve his mother's needs. The mother may use guilt to control her son, punishing him for wanting less contact or for making choices that don't align with her wishes. The mother's life is centered around her son, and she may be resistant to him forming other intimate relationships or punishing his own dreams, or pursuing his own dreams. The son may feel trapped in the relationship, constantly having to meet his mother's expectations and fearing her rejection, y'all. And the last one, it says, the mother may repeat the patterns of enmeshment by punishing, by pushing her own enmeshment into her son's partner or even her grandchildren. Like I told y'all, at the end of the day, a narcissistic parent becomes a narcissistic grandparent. And y'all got to understand that that is so true. Because I done seen so many stories of uh, a trauma survivor being raised by a narcissistic parent. How they say, well, my parent can't stand me, we don't get along, we don't talk, we it just is no contact, but yet she loved my children. Okay. But yet she's wearing a mask, and yet she's planting seeds, especially if she's constantly talking about you, your relationship, your household, what's going on. Your parent don't never ask the children how they're doing. They're asking your children questions for information. Trust me, I know. Right? They will get your children. They will plant the seed in your children. They will try to buy information from your children, right? They will tell stories and feed lies into your children. And so you have to really, really, if, like I told y'all, I'm not for everybody. But whoever sees me and whoever listens to me and whoever can resonate with me, then we on the same page, and you know what I'm talking about, and I know what you talking about, and we are not alone in this, right? However, you got to understand, and you got to be real careful of the manipulation of these narcissistic parents when it comes to your children. And you have to learn your own boundaries. And if your children are young, you have to learn your own boundaries as well as set healthy boundaries with your children when it comes to their grandparents. And I am being so for real with y'all when I say that. And so it's very important that we know that, you know. So it says, and I got what, 8 more minutes, so we're gonna jump into this real quick. So I'm gonna try to so it says how to break free, right? From how do you start breaking free from this enmeshment from your parent? Like, how do you start breaking free? Number one, you start naming what belongs to you and what belongs to your parent. Learn to tolerate the guilt of saying no. Build a separate identity, your likes, your dreams, your boundaries. Love is not control. I'm going to repeat that. Love is not control. Love is not carrying someone else's emotions on your back. Love lets you be free. Yeah. And that's something that I had to learn the hard way, but I learned it. You know, I'm grateful that I finally got out of cycles. So I'm very grateful of that. And so, y'all, I think that's pretty much, I can't believe that this is all for tonight. So, but yes, with that being said, one more thing I do see, it says a legacy shift. The biggest impact. Children of enmeshment, you're gonna either repeat it or you're gonna resist it, right? Healing as a parent, break that cycle. breaks the cycle. Healing as a parent breaks the cycle. Love and boundaries can coexist. They're free to be their own person. You're free to be your own person. You don't have to carry someone's emotions to feel love. It says when boundaries are blurred, children don't get the chance to just be kids. They grow up with heavy shoulders, carrying loads that were never theirs to carry. Healing is giving them back their childhood and their right to become who they are. Y'all. So, with that being said, like I told y'all, I don't put nothing out the air. Every definition has been researched before me. I'm just making awareness of it. So I encourage you to do your own study on this word. Google what enmeshment is. Google what enmeshment and trauma is. Google enmeshment, trauma, childhood. Google these things. They are there, and like I said, nobody will research anything really unless they hear from sometimes you got to really hear this from somebody to dive into a deep research of what this means. So we're making it make sense. We are popping our wide bubble because we had wide bubbles for so long. A lot of us is still carrying wide bubbles that we don't understand to this day. Like why do you feel alone from time to time? Why do you feel abandoned? Why do you are scared of rejection? Why can't we just go forth? And sometimes it's our foundation is the form of our choices. Our foundation is the form to a lot of our choices. It really is. And so unless you understand and totally understand your true foundation, you're going to live in a pattern. You're going to stay in a cycle. And so it's very, very important that you just really, just do your research. And of course, I'm going to continue to do what I do. Drop the knowledge, drop the gems, because I feel like these episodes that I do once a week, or it may be twice a week, I might start bumping it up because there's so much information out there that once a week may not be enough, and I know that I have to be more consistent on platforms. Y'all have so many platforms to be on. Oh my goodness. So I'm trying to work all of that out so I can have some recorded over here, some recorded over here, so I can just do it one time. But it's a lot of platforms to get on. But I am praying that this reaches the masses, right? I am really praying that this reaches the masses, because if we can reach with this message that we can survive outside of trauma, this will save the next generations. It really will. And I am being so for real with that. If we can learn how to do it different, we can save the next generation. But it all starts with you. It all starts with you. You have to start your own healing before you can even heal yourself. I mean, you have to start with your own healing before you can even try to even push healing on your children, right? So, and then once you start your healing yourself, that's when you bring your child along. But some of us, and it's going to be deep. Sunday's message is going to be real eye-opening. I will be back on live Sunday at 8 p.m. So y'all make sure y'all set your notifications for Sunday at 8 p.m. Y'all don't forget to catch me on International Talks with Miss LaDonna Marie on her podcast. It's streaming worldwide. Y'all, it's streaming worldwide. And so I'm excited. So it's gonna be on all platforms, iHeart, Spotify, all the radio platforms is going to be on. So y'all make sure y'all lock into her show, International Talks, and listen to my episode Monday. It's the 15th. I think it's Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember. But the 15th, y'all lock into that, and I pray that someone get blessed from that episode. And I'm very thankful, and I'm very thankful for all the doors that are opening for me, for me just saying yes. It's like God is rewarding me for my yes, and I am honored and I'm thankful. So with that being said, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in to another episode, the 11th episode of Life UnMothered. I am getting ready to upload. I've been slacking on my YouTube channel, y'all, but I'm getting ready to upload all the videos that I have unloaded. Y'all always remember that these videos on Facebook Live, they only last 30 days. So if it's episodes that y'all have missed, I encourage y'all to go over and subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can watch the episodes that you have missed over there. So tonight and tomorrow, I'm going to be uploading all the videos that I haven't, which is like 3 or 4, but those will be there. So with that being said, y'all, I got an exciting weekend coming up. Oh my God, I cannot. I'm thankful. I'm thankful. So with that being said, y'all stay tuned. I'm gonna be flooding y'all timeline with pictures of what I have coming up. Y'all stay tuned for the announcement. This is exciting, y'all. I'm about to go to bed right now just so I can get up tomorrow and get started. It's a 3-day event. Y'all, I cannot wait. So, with that being said, y'all have a blessed night. And remember, this is not just a moment. This is a full movement. Y'all have a blessed one.